Okay, in this video, we will learn about function in Python. We'll start from the very beginning, from the very basic. We'll discuss what is a function in Python, how to write a function, how to use that function, and then we'll see the parameters, how to pass the parameters and arguments, and then at the end, we'll discuss about the print and return, which one to use, when to use, and all of those. So we're going to start from the very basic, as I said, what is a function, right? Before we define anything, let me give you an example. Let's say a equals 10, b equals 20, and then c gonna be a plus b, and then we print that value. Okay, this is my code basically. Now let's say, for example, you're writing a long script, a long program, and in that long program, this specific block of code, you need to use it 10 times, or let's say 20 times, or whatever, right? So what you can do is, this is one choice. Whenever you need that code, you copy and paste that code over and over and over. Okay, this is one way. But as you can guess, this is not really a good way to programming. Why not? Because it's simply just wasting our time, right? Of course, it's going to run in all instances, but think like this way. Tomorrow, all on a sudden, you realize, okay, actually, A shouldn't be 10, it should be 100. Now, your job going to find all of the instance of the A and then change the value, right? All of those. And day after tomorrow, you think, you know what? B was wrong too. It should be 205. Then again, you're looking for all of those B's and changing it. Ever ending, isn't it? So, what happens is, when we need a block of code to reuse it over and over, right? We should have a better options without writing all of the codes. And also, when you need to change the value for some reason, you just change it once, and all of the instances where you're using that block of code, it changes automatically. Yeah, and that basically is the function of a function in a Python. So what is a function? Function is a block of code in the program which does a specific work for you, specific little program you're writing, right? And then you just reuse it whenever you need in down the line in your program without rewriting the all of the code. Okay, so let me just clear it out. So we know now what is a function, a block of code which does some specific task for you, and you can reuse it over and over without writing the everything again and again. Right? Okay, that's the function. So let's say how to write a function. So as simple as it is, the first thing to write a function is the keyword def, right? As soon as you see write this word, program knows, okay, here comes a function. Now after the keyword, you give your function a name. The way you are creating a variable is same way. Let me make the name of my function is greet. Okay. After the name, you give this bracket and then colon here. Oh, okay. And code block. Okay, so how to write a function? You just give the keyword def, then you create your own name for the function, and after that you write the bracket. Okay, at this moment bracket is empty, but soon I'll show you what you can pass through in here anyway, and then colon. So div name of your function with bracket and colon, and inside that you're writing code, all of code you need to write for that function. That's how you can create a function, how to write a function. So now what my greet function might do is, just before you see, when I press enter, automatically there's space, and we call them indentation, of course. and this space actually define that all of the code line I'm writing from here now, it gonna be part of my function. Okay, so this space actually telling program that these lines belong to this function. So let's say for example my greet function is doing basically is writing a message, just say nothing else. All right, so I have created a function which is greet, and then I'm asking this function should print this sentence as an output. Okay, now if I run it, you will not see anything. Why not? Because you just created your function but you're not using it. To use that function, it comes next. How to use a function? To use a function, simply when you finish your function, you come out. Look, you should come out means don't write inside the function, come out from there. Okay, and to use that function, you simply call out the name of your function with the bracket, and that's it. It's gonna show you the result now. Okay, so one more time, you create a function. Okay, and then anything you want to write for that function, it should be indented so program knows which is part of your function, which is not. This line is not part of your function, it is calling out your function. So you create your function, then whenever you need it, you just simply, you don't need to write any of those things, you just simply call out the function name. Okay, it's simply like you give somebody a name and then you call them, and that's how you create a function, you use a function. Right, now we're going to go to the parameter, but before that, remember this, we start with that. Let me write a function about this. So let's say I want to do this calculation, but this time I'm going to use it in a function. So to do that, def, the name of my function, I'm saying addition, and then bracket of course, and then inside that I'm saying a equals 100, b equals 200, c equals a plus b, and then print the value of c. That is my function. Of course, if you run it, it's not going to show you anything, so we need to call that function out. Right, so I'm just calling out the name of my function is addition, and just run it. So as you can see, show me that result. Okay, so create a function and then call out the name. Now if you look at it, this function, anytime you're calling it out, it basically give you 300. There's no flexibility anymore than that. Okay, you just call it out and 300 and over how you need. But think like this way, if I were, is there is a way so I can change the a and b value every time I'm calling out my function, that would be even better. Can we do that? Okay, here comes the next topic, how to pass the parameters and use the arguments. So the scenario is I am going to write a function called addition, which gonna add two numbers, whatever number I want to add, not only defining okay a and b, a equals 100, 2 equals b equals 200. Yeah, I want to redefine it, I want to give a and b value different times, and it's going to still show me the output. How you can do that? Right, so to do that, you simply take it out. Inside this bracket you say a comma b. Okay, so what are you seeing? We are looking at a and b here as a variable. I'm telling program, you know what, I'm creating the function addition, and I will give you a value and b value. Whatever a value and b value I'm going to give you, you add them together and then keep it in the c, and then print that out. Okay, let me take this line off as well. Now I'm not giving them what is a equals what, b equals what, right? But again, when I write it, it's like a promise to the program that whenever I'm calling out my addition, I will make sure that you get that value from me, a value and b value, right? We call them parameters. So what is parameters? Parameters are basically the name of the variables you're passing to the function definition. Another word, when you're creating your function, you are giving the variable inside the bracket, saying later on down the line, I will show you what the A means, B means on whatever variables I'm calling those values, but keep it in your mind that you need to use those variables. We call them parameters. Now, what does A means? We didn't give any yet. What does B means? Program doesn't know. Now, if I run this code, let's see what happens. It says type error, addition missing two required positional arguments A and B. As you see, line 5, which is this. What is saying again is saying two required positional arguments A and B. Simply saying, hey, you promised us when you are creating this function that you will give us the value for this variable and this variable, and we are waiting for this, but look, you kept it empty. You didn't keep your promise. So all you need to do, let's say I want to add 200 and 300, right? So program automatically understand, okay, A means 200, B means 300, and now it's happy and show you that result. We call them arguments. So parameters parameters are basically the name of the variable. Arguments are the real value. Arguments are the real value for those parameters. One more time, parameters are the name of the variable you're passing through to the function definition, and arguments are the real value of that parameters. So 200 is an arguments, A is the parameters. A equals 200, program automatically know. B equals 300, program automatically know. 300 is the arguments, B is the parameters. So why so powerful? If I just call my function one more time, and this time I'm saying, okay, do this, and obviously it can do that for you as well, you see. So now we are defining what the A value gonna be, what the B value gonna be, and program automatically assign the value to that value parameter, and then show you the output. Okay, so that's basically is passing a parameters and use the arguments to show you the result. Not only that, not you always give the result. For example, if I want that value from the user, they're gonna define me what A value gonna be, B value gonna be. Let's create a variable num1 equals, of course it's gonna, I'm expecting integer, so input number 1. I'm asking user to give me value for number 1, and num2 equals int input, so input, and I'm saying number 2. Okay, so these two value I'm getting from the user. Then I'm going to call my function addition, and I'm supposed to give them two value from A and B. Instead of giving this hard-coded value, I said, you know what, take this value, whatever comes in num1, as the value for my A. For the B, whatever value comes from the user in num2, use that value. So instead of writing the name number, writing the value myself, I'm just showing them this value for A is coming from that variable. The value for B is coming from this variable. So program automatically match that. Okay, A means num1, B means num2, and then it's looking for what value coming from num1 and what value coming from num2. That's wrong. Num2, and then it's gonna do the rest of the calculation. Let's run it. So yes, it's gonna show me number 1, let's say 200. It's gonna ask me number 2 now, let's say 400, and then it automatically understand, okay, num1 means 200, which match to the A, so A means 200, and then num2 is 400, which match to the B, so A plus B, 2 plus 200 plus 400, add them together, save that in the C, and print that value, which is 600. Okay, if I run it one more time, now this time I said, you know what, num1 is 1000, num2 is 2000, and also we can do that. So it's robust now. Now my program, I can control it, I can give the value, or my user can give the value, still it can do the work for me, right? So that is about passing the parameters and then taking giving the arguments and showing the result. Okay, now the last part is print. Like, at this moment I'm only showing the result, but think in a situation where I need to do some more calculation. Question is, can I do that? Let's say whatever result coming out from there, I want to do plus 1000 with that. Okay, let's for an example. So total equals, let's say I'm saying 1000 plus whatever coming out from here. Okay, so let me write it down here. So what I'm expecting is whatever value it is calculating from my function, and then I'm going to add 1000 with that, then I'm going to show the result. Print total. Can I do that? Let's run it. Asking number one, let's say 200, number two, 300. So again, before I press enter, so A means 200, B means 300, so C gonna be 200 plus 300 is 500, and I'm expecting those 500 plus 1000, which is 1500, and show me the result. Will it though? Oh, I didn't press enter, sorry. There's a glitch. Let me just refresh it. Okay, so let's run it now again. So 200, 300, so I'm expecting to see that 1000 for 500, which is 1500, but here you go. There you go. It show me the result, but that is telling me a lot of things. Unsupported operand type for int and none type. What is that none type is doing here? It simply is, I told the program, okay, you do this calculation, you print out the result. That means just simply show the result. Unfortunately, if you just simply show the result, you cannot reuse it for any other calculation. All right, keep it like as simple as it is. If I want to use this value now to do this kind of calculation, you cannot do it because program said, hey, you just told me to print it out only, you didn't told me to do something else. Here comes the keyword return, right? What return does? Return keep that value for you to reuse it to do some further calculation, for an example. Okay, now without any further ado, let's run it one more time. Give the number 200, give the 300, and I press enter, and it really show me that result now. Saying, okay, I do the calculation 200 and 300. Okay, and I keep this value, and whenever you need it, I'm ready to use it. Before I show you this line, let me show you one quick thing as well. So let me take it off. Let's run it. So 200, 300, if you press enter, it doesn't show you the result. Why? Because you just call the function, which is nice, but in anywhere you ask it to print. So program says, okay, I do the calculation, but hey, you didn't tell me to print it out. So it didn't do anything for you. To do that, we have two options. First of all, you write down print here. You write down print. So this value now, which is returning C value, it's going to print it out. Okay, 200, let's say for example, 400, it show you the result. And even better, if you just create a variable for that, let's say total equals, and then print that value. So what basically is, whatever value is returning from here, it's gonna save in this variable and print that variable out. I'll show you why it is more useful. So first of all, let's run this. Again, it's asking for the num1 and num2, so give me 400, 500, and 400 and 500, which is 900, is returned in the value, coming here with 900, save that value in the total and print that value out. So if I press enter, it's going to show me the result. Question is why it is more useful, because if I want to do more calculation now, I just call that variable. If I want to do any calculation now, I just call that variable. You see, I do not need to call out all of those anymore. Just call out this variable, it's gonna show me the result. If I just write down print result 1 and then print result 2. Sorry, it's 1 and 2. Yeah, just press run. Let's say 30, 40, and then you do all of the calculation showing it. So that's how powerful the return is. But unfortunately, if you just write down print, none of these happening at all, because program only understand, okay, I just need to print that value, but I don't know how to do all of this calculation. If you want to use your value, the output from your function in further use, the most likely you have to use the keyword return. Okay, if you run it, and again it gonna works. So let's go back now and see, did we cover everything? So you now know what is a function, you know how to write a function, you know how to use a function, and then I showed you how to pass the parameters, why that parameter passing is really useful, and then you now know what is argument is, and then at the end we learned the difference between print and return. Also we have discussed how to use the return and why return is so powerful. I hope all of this makes sense to you. Please, if you have any more questions or any confusion, also how do you feel about this, do some writing in the comments so I can re I can look at it, and also next time I might use the videos what you ask me to make. Okay, thanks so much.